The scent of jasmine hit me the moment the door opened. Once, it would have stirred something warm and tender in me. A soft flutter, a comfort. It had been her favorite perfume. The one she wore on our first date, the one that used to linger on our bedsheets like a memory. But now it was sickly sweet, suffocating, like sugar coating something spoiled. She walked in with a spring in her step. Too cheerful for someone claiming to have just finished a grueling 12-hour hospital shift. "Honey, I'm home," she chirped, her voice laced with that artificial brightness that had started to make my skin crawl. Her name was Amelia, my wife, or rather, the woman I had believed was my wife in all the ways that mattered. We had spent 6 years together, 3 in marriage, 3 in what I had assumed was love. 6 years of Friday night Netflix marathons, lazy Sunday brunches, and long walks on wooded trails. Or so I thought. But it's strange how a life you believed to be solid, dependable, built brick by loving brick, can crumble so easily when you start to notice the cracks. Her late-night calls began subtly, always taken in the other room. Her voice hushed, always a patient in crisis, or a colleague needing support. Her explanations were casual, practiced. At first, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But then came the small recoils, the slight flinch when I reached for her hand, the distant eyes that no longer softened when they looked at me, and always the jasmine, stronger now, as if she needed to drown something out, something she didn't want me to sense. But tonight felt different. She was nearly humming with energy, a strange brightness that clashed with her supposed exhaustion. "Long day?" I asked, my voice careful. She kissed my cheek, off-center, like her lips had miscalculated the shape of my face. "Tired, but fine," she replied, hanging her purse by the door like it was any other evening. "What did you have for dinner?" I didn't answer immediately. My eyes drifted toward the living room wall, and her gaze followed mine. There, scrawled in bold, unmistakable strokes, was a single word, written in the deep crimson of her favorite lipstick. Liar. Not painted, branded, etched across the surface of our shared life. It hit like a brick to the chest, every letter vibrating with the weight of truth I tried for too long to ignore. Her smile vanished. The color drained from her face. Her eyes widened in disbelief. She opened her mouth, but no words came out, just air and panic. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice hollow. I didn't answer. I walked calmly to the side table and picked up her purse, the same purse she took with her every day, like a sacred object. With a single motion, I turned it upside down. Contents scattered across the floor, coins, tampons, receipts, makeup, ordinary things. But among the clutter was something that didn't belong in the version of our life I had known. A small, old flip phone, outdated, innocent-looking, and utterly damning. I picked it up, entered 4 digits, our wedding date. A passcode she chose because, she said, she could never forget it. The phone unlocked. The message log was a confession in itself. Pages upon pages of intimate exchanges, raw and revealing. Words she had never once said to me, not even at our most vulnerable. Messages full of longing, love, and secrets. One name appeared over and over, Jay. I held the phone up. "Care to explain this?" I asked, steady as stone. She broke. Tears poured down her face. Her hands flew to her cheeks in dramatic disbelief, like a child caught red-handed. "It's not what you think," she sobbed. I almost laughed. The cliché of it all. "I think it's exactly what I think," I said, the sharpness of my voice no longer masked. "You're a liar, a cheat, a fraud." The next 10 minutes blurred. She wept and begged. Excuses tumbled out, ridiculous, frantic. Something about stress, about confusion, about us falling apart. But my mind had already left her months ago. It had packed its bags when the warmth in her voice faded, when I became a background noise in her life. I opened the phone again, scrolling through the recent calls. "Who's Jay?" I asked casually, like we were chatting over morning coffee. Her crying stopped just long enough for her voice to break into a whisper. "His name is James." "James," I repeated, then turned toward the door. Well, James has a surprise waiting. I grabbed my keys and stepped into the cool night. Outside, I called the last number she'd dialed. Hello, came a voice. This is James. Who's this? Hey, James. It's Thomas, Amelia's husband. She's here with me. Why don't you come by? I think it's time we met properly. I hung up before he could stammer his excuses. It wasn't long before a car pulled into the driveway. I stood there waiting, calm, almost eerily so. The man who stepped out was older than me, maybe early 40s, thinning hair, nervous eyes. He didn't look like a villain. He looked like a man who had been caught in a story he wasn't ready for. I didn't know she was married, he said. I gave him a smile, thin and humorless. Right. So she just forgot to mention the wedding ring and the framed photos in every room. Before he could answer, the door burst open. Amelia rushed out, makeup smudged, face streaked with tears. Thomas, please. I can explain. I ignored her, keeping my gaze on James. So, James, what exactly did she tell you about all these emergency shifts? His face turned pale. I don't know what you mean. Of course you don't. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. The screen lit up with live footage from the hidden camera I had installed weeks ago. The camera that captured everything. His face drained of color. Amelia looked like she was going to collapse. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't miscommunication. It was betrayal. Documented. Clear. Real. The next moments unraveled in chaos, like a badly written soap opera playing out in high definition. He denied everything. She screamed. I shouted. I didn't care who heard. And then I hit him. One clean, solid punch. Harder than I'd ever thrown. He collapsed to the pavement, groaning in pain. Amelia screamed again. I stood over them both, breathing hard, then walked back inside. I gathered every shred of evidence. Texts, call logs, video. I knew every lie. Every hidden phone. There were more, of course. A second, a third, all full of secrets. I looked at them both with nothing left in my chest but contempt. Get out, I said, ice in my voice. Both of you. Take the trash you love so much with you. She's yours now. Amelia crumbled, sobbing on the floor. James scrambled his feet, ashamed and bleeding. He took her by the hand, half dragging her toward the car. They both looked back, faces twisted with fear and guilt. I didn't flinch. The car peeled out of the driveway. The sound echoed into silence they left behind. Inside, the house felt foreign, too quiet, too clean, like it belonged to someone else. I walked to the living room, picked up the remote, and turned on the TV. Laughter from a sitcom filled the void, a hollow, manufactured joy. I opened a beer, sat down on the couch, and stared at the word on the wall. Liar. A fitting epitaph for a love that had died long before I painted it. And despite the heartbreak, despite the shattered remains of what I once held sacred, I allowed myself one small, fleeting smile. Because she didn't get away with it. Because I had let her build the illusion, only to tear it down brick by brick.